I'm an administrator at a large academic teaching hospital in Houston, and I've been working in this capacity in this position probably for about 8 years. I've been with this organization longer than that, but the last 8 years as the chief administrator for the Department of Pediatrics.
I'm Brent Flaskamp. I work for Johnson & Johnson on the pharmaceutical sector of that company. Been with them for 24 years.
So working in the this hospital, which is an academic teaching hospital, you have a lot of different personalities. You've got we have faculty who are in the academic area, then also we have professionals at hospital administrators, and so a lot of times you have differing views, coming from different aspects, and it can be challenging, frankly, working with someone that rubs you the wrong way. I know for me, my days are quite challenging when I don't start my day in the Word. I always like to think of it this way: if I don't fill up spiritually, I have nothing to give when we get to work, and so I find myself short-tempered and that kind of thing, dealing with some folks that, frankly, I don't really like meeting with. But I have to because of my situation, and sometimes I get when I don't start off with the Lord in the morning, or I have a tendency to avoid those people, and which is not productive from any angle, from professionally or spiritually. And again, that's probably because I don't start my day off right. You can't give what you don't have, and if I'm not spending time in the Word regularly, one-on-one with the Lord, then I'm not going to be any good.
It's the people. It's working with other people. I think that maybe every single person, no matter what industry you're in, has that same thing of, nobody's as smart as you are, and so why can't they just do what you need them to do? And so there's different personality types. But I think you have to step back every once in a while and say, okay, everybody brings something to the table. And I think we sometimes have to put ourselves out there and alter our delivery systems to reach people and to pull out people's strengths, because that is the most difficult part of your industry, of my industry, and probably if you went in and talked to teachers or whatever, job people are in, that's probably the difficult thing.
I've got my day, I have an agenda, I have certain things that need to be accomplished, maybe meetings that I have to go to, but if I'm not prepared and I'm not spiritually ready, I'm going to miss opportunities throughout the day that maybe wasn't on my agenda, and maybe the Lord has put on my plate. Maybe I'm having a meeting with someone that is abrasive, and maybe I don't understand why they're abrasive. Maybe they want to reach out to me and talk to me about where they are spiritually, but maybe I'm not ready because I haven't spent time with Him and really asked, hey God, how can you use me today at work?
As a Christian, I think we can add to the mess, or we can take away from the mess. And I think we all have messes. We're all a mess. And so if we do go into our position as a task-oriented job and check off, but we put our faith and our belief in Christ on the back burner, we've just added to the mess. Well, one of the things I think it is a task is a to-do list, right? You're marking things off, and it's not about people. It's not about relationships usually. It's usually about crossing something off the list. But the most important thing about a company, the most important thing about Christianity is that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't get so task-oriented into activity that you're forgetting that people are involved in these activities. And people, just like myself, bring to work everything else that's going on in their life. Yeah, they spend 8 to 10 to 12 hours at a job, but they have other things in their life that you can't turn off.
I know for me, on the other side of the aisle, I like to understand why I'm doing something, not just because that's the way it is. And I think a lot of times by pausing and getting people to understand in a loving way that goes a lot further than just saying, hey, we're checking this off the list, and we need to move on to the next task. And again, that's really that requires you to get to know that person in a deeper way than you normally would, and it requires a lot of patience, I think, too, because a lot of times at work you're anxious to get something done, and this may delay getting that done, but in the long run, it's the best way to handle it.
I think people get attracted to personalities and to how you lead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about Christ, saying to the disciples, and he didn't say this is Brent Flaskamp's version of it, but he said, if you don't remember anything, the last commandment was just love each other. Just love each other. And so sometimes if you get so task oriented, you forget about that commandment. That's the charge he left us with. Love each other, invest in other people. And by doing that, people will recognize you and go, something's unique about this person. And that's that opportunity.
One of the things that we do, we have to do evaluations every year. And through those evaluations, we look at people's productivity, but also when I do one-on-one evaluations, I also try to dig in a little bit deeper spiritually with folks, and try to build relationships that way. I can use an opportunity there, a structured opportunity to also get to know someone a little bit better. And what that's done is I've had a couple of folks that have been willing to come back and share personal issues that they're struggling with, and had opportunities actually to sit down and pray with them in those situations. There's opportunities there to talk with people and get to find out where they're coming from, and just in those situations where God provides you an opportunity, you've got to take advantage of it and not pass it by, because if you let it pass by, that's also sending a message, I think, and you're not building a bridge.
20 years ago at Johnson & Johnson, I started a small group of people, of faith-based people that believed in and we would get together at meetings and do a Bible study. But I kept getting a call to do something more, and so one of the things that I started doing, and I think what has happened is because of this culture, it's been accepted. And so I started saying, why can't there be a faith-based group at work? Why can't I be? Because I don't want to say we snuck around, but it was pretty private how we got together at a meeting. We'd go to Orlando for a meeting, and this 5 or 6 guys would get together and we'd have a Bible study. But it wasn't invitational. It wasn't out there that we were doing this. So one of the things that I did is I started trying to establish an affinity group. They used to call them affinity groups. Now they call them employee resource groups. Different groups of people that have the same belief. Now, not necessarily a faith belief, but it could be a African American association that gets together at meetings. Women's Leadership Conference, they get together at meetings. So what I started to do was put together this group, and it has been a rocky road. We started it kind of got going, then all of a sudden HR got involved and said, yeah, you can't do that. That's, we got to separate your faith from corporate America. The problem with that is I don't think you can separate who you are when you come to work. I think that if you're a father or a mother or a husband, everything that you are comes to work with you. And so I challenged, I pushed back, and doors got slammed. God kept opening up bigger doors. And we've now started it's called Life. And underneath that Life is a Christian organization. So now at meetings, we can actually announce and invite everybody to this meeting. And it's been fabulous. We went to a meeting in January. We had 160 managers at the meeting, total at the meeting, and we had 84 people show up to our morning Bible study. Now, we've got a long ways to go, but the door is open, and God has done all that.
I would just say we need to, and this is a challenge for myself too, is to take advantage of every opportunity we have before us. Worship corporately. You know, Jesus sent people out two by two, and there was a reason for that. He wants us to. He started the church, and we need to worship corporately. The other thing is get involved in a small group, so you can dig deeper into the Word. And third is spend one-on-one time in the Word, meditating on God's Word, because just like you have to fill up your tank to get to work in your car, you got to fill up your spiritual tank, or you're not going to have anything to give when you get there.
I think model. Model, be that person that is unique, be that person that somebody looks at you and says, there's something interesting about that individual, because you serve, because you just show love and compassion. I think that will open up opportunities. And I think the only way you can do that is what you said, is start the day. I wish I could say that I do it every single day, but I'll tell you this, when I do it, I'm way more equipped to model and to follow Christ. This might not come across right, but it's not my job to get people into heaven. It's my job to follow Christ and to show people that Christ is alive and he wants a relationship with them.